in Matthew, go back to Matthew 24 and turn to Luke 21 at the same time. Because if you run across anybody that wants to throw preterism at you, you're going to need this. How much time, Mike? I need to be sure I get this in. 19. I need to get this in so you'll understand it. And the reason I brought that out, that's a major verse in 1 Peter 4 and 7. Major verse that the preterists use. They know what they're doing. You guys that left here, I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed that you would embrace such false doctrine. There's two guys that's left here, maybe more than that, but two of them that I know of that were supposed to be real close friends of mine that have gone off, and I guess they both got it on their websites. If you're referring to me on your websites as your teacher, take me off your website. I don't want to be on there and take all the stuff off your website that you got me on there. And one of you's got a bunch of stuff on there. Don't refer to me as your mentor. I'm not your teacher. You're going to teach that kind of doctrine. And just please eliminate anything I've written off your website. And he knows who he is. He's out there preaching that Jesus appeared in the temple in 70 A.D. Besides that, Israel wasn't totally destroyed in 70 A.D. How could he have appeared in the temple there? Well, they wasn't totally destroyed till Masada in 72 A.D. That's when Jerusalem was destroyed. Most of the surviving Jews went over to Masada, which is a big high fortress on the banks of the Dead Sea. Now, in Luke 21, see, Luke 21 is the sister chapter to Matthew 24. When these preterists will say, you say, why do you attack one particular doctrine? When I feel like a doctrine is a real dangerous doctrine, especially to prophecy, I will correct it. I don't care how many doctor's degrees somebody has. If you think I would be afraid to sit down and talk to R.C. Sproul, you're really mistaken. Sometimes where in the world he got a degree, I don't know how. The way he talks, he's a brilliant man, you can tell that by the flow of his eloquence. He speaks with such eloquence, but instead of saying churches have false teachers, I can't even make up sentences like he makes. Some churches have the tendency to, or some pastors have the tendency to, and he goes, and he won't say they're lying. He just sweeps through some wild, crazy, pretty speech. They are less than correct in their summation of the facts upon the blah blah blah, upon the big inner tube inside the. I don't know what he says. He says something, the fither father, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, yeah. Yes, that's what I want to say to him whenever he sits across the table from me. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You like that bird does, you know. That's about all the answer I got for those bird brains. You have to understand, when they say, what will be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? They're saying the word world, aion, means age. What's the end of the age? When are you coming back at the end of this age? Before we're all dead, just to see us for a few seconds in a temple. They're not saying we want to see you for a flash of lightning in a temple. And they're saying that when it says, as the lightning shines out of the east into the west, even so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. There it was. It flashed in the temple in 70 A.D. Where do you guys conjure up such garbage? The Bible doesn't imply that, implicate it, point at it, or have anything to do with that. Where in the world you come up with that? You invented that. Jesus has long canceled that out in 70 A.D. He's canceled out the literal Jew. Besides that, God says, I change not. It means duplicate, it means to transmute or duplicate. Now, what is he doing in 70 A.D. with a literal temple in Jerusalem that he's appealing to, literal temple, and a spiritual temple, which is the church. Which is the church. What's he doing duplicating, having two different temples? You understand what I just said? What's he doing having two temples? He doesn't know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. He's not living over here. He doesn't want to come and live in this temple, and he's living in us, and he's blotted them out, blinded their eyes. That's an insane doctrine, you believe that. That don't add up, does it? Well, they come up and they say, Jesus is going through all this, chapter 24, telling them all these things. And in chapter 21 is the same chapter. It's Luke's account of the same discourse and conversation with the apostles. Well, when you get down here to it's the same discourse, and then Jesus tells them they're talking about one of these things being. They don't have the same exact question, but the question is asked in Matthew, one of these things being, what will be the sign of thy coming to the end of the world? And he starts in Luke, and he tells them in Luke, and one of the signs he says in Luke 20 through 24, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. And let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereunto. For these are the days of God's revenge upon Israel, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And then he says, and they, the Jews, shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now, do you think this was fulfilled during Jesus' generation? No. For one thing, Israel hadn't ceased. You think 70 AD is when they ceased to be trodden down? No, that just started. They were scattered all over the earth. Well, what about the church? Was it ceased to be trodden down anywhere for the first 2,000 years of its history? Has it ceased to be trodden down? No. Neither literal Israel nor spiritual Israel has ceased to be trodden down for these last 2,000 years. Well, when you get up here to these verses, signs of the sun and the moon and the stars on the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking after the things coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, look up and lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh. When what things? The Gentile rule of the Jews is finished. The sea and the waves roaring. Signs of the sun and the moon and the stars. Don't have time to go into it. Do you think all this was fulfilled in Jesus' generation? No. But the verse they use